Good evening and welcome to the September 17, 2024 City Council Regular Hybrid Meeting. I'm Mayor Salim Neese. This evening's Hybrid City Council meeting is being brought to you in person and by Zoom. We're also broadcasting live on MITV Channel 21 and on the city's YouTube channel. Welcome and thanks for joining us tonight. Council members, please have your microphones turned on for roll call. City Clerk Andrea Larson, please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Andral.
Here.
Councilmember Jacobson. Councilmember Jacobson.
Here.
Councilmember Reynolds.
Here.
Councilmember Weicker.
Here.
Councilmember Weinberg.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum.
Here.
And Mayor Neese.
Here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
City Clerk, please note that Councilmember Weicker is joined via Zoom. Next, we have the Pledge of Allegiance. Council, if you've joined us in council chambers, please stand and face the flag. If you've joined us via Zoom, please mute and turn off your video to ensure the U.S. flag is visible. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We now move to approval of tonight's agenda. If there's no questions, actually, I think we have an amendment to amend the agenda. Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum.
I move to amend the agenda to add a second executive session for approximately 30 minutes for planning or adopting the strategy or position to be taken by the City Council during the course of any collective bargaining, professional negotiations, or grievance mediation proceedings, or reviewing the proposals made in the negotiations or proceedings while in progress pursuant to RCW 42.30.140B, 4B.
Very good. Second. All right. We have an amended agenda moved by Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum, seconded by Mayor Neese. Any discussion? Any questions? City Clerk, please call the roll. Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum.
I apologize to my colleagues that I forgot to circulate this in advance, but this just adds an opportunity for us to discuss the issue.
Very good.
Councilmember Reynolds.
Aye.
Mayor Neese.
Aye.
Councilmember Weinberg.
Aye.
Councilmember Andral.
Aye.
Councilmember Weicker.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum.
Aye.
And Councilmember Jacobson.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Motion passes. The amended agenda is adopted. And next up, we have the City Manager report. We welcome City Manager Jesse Bond.
Good evening, City Council members. Thank you, Casey. She has the screen share for me. Happy Tuesday. Let's go ahead and dive in. We have a long meeting tonight. Council looking ahead, just a reminder, your next meeting is Tuesday, October 1st. We are back in business after our August recess, so our boards and commissions are also meeting. The next commission meeting we have is Wednesday, September 25th. As a reminder, we keep all of our meetings updated on the website, and the link is there at the bottom of the slide. A handful of project updates for you. The first one is just to make sure you're aware that the Luther Burbank waterfront project, particularly the dock replacement, we were in front of our hearing examiner last week to review the city's proposal for redeveloping the Luther Burbank Park waterfront. Again, this is really related to shoreline and ecology work. The purpose and the reason we were in front of the hearing examiner is to consider our proposal and then submit a recommendation to the Department of Ecology, who will make the final permitting decision. Because this is a shoreline project, I think we've shared previously the permit and permit review process, given all of the stakeholders involved, actually takes almost 2, sometimes 3 years. The next phase of project is specifically for the waterfront plaza, the shoreline, the beach, and as I already mentioned, the upgrades to the docks. We anticipate hearing back from the hearing examiner probably in the next month, and then we are gearing up. While it still feels like it's a long ways away, we have a lot more work to do to be under construction in summer 2026. Next slide, please. We also wanted to mention, and I saw some council members jumping in and doing some promotion of this over the last couple weeks. Thank you very much. We have opportunities to sponsor various components of the Luther Burbank Waterfront Project. Anything from benches, which we typically accept donations for 2 tables, a kayak ramp, and even more substantial features at the Luther Burbank waterfront. So we have a park enhancement donation, information posted on our website. It's a full catalog of opportunities. If anyone would like more information or would like my support in meeting with potential donors, please don't hesitate to let me know, and we'll be promoting this a little bit more in the coming months. Next slide, please. Council, also a heads up. You may recall that since we adopted the PROS plan, we had identified doing future planning work for both Clark and Groveland beaches. We were formally considering a full-blown park master plan process, but we recognize that the area of focus for both of these parks really is on the waterfront, the shoreline, and the overwater features. So we wanted to let you know that at the end of this month, we'll be launching a survey, an electronic survey, to collect information about how these parks are currently being used. We'll take that information and combine it with all of the analysis that our consultants have done at these 2 park properties. And we'll be using that to come back to you and discuss the scope of work for that planning process. And, you know, again, we're recommending perhaps scaling back from a full-blown master plan process and really doing focus planning specifically around the waterfront. But we'll keep our options open as we hear from the community on this first touch with the survey. Next slide, please. A reminder, we are doing a recruitment right now for the Planning Commission, City Council, and your weekly email from me. We've been updating you on the applications that are coming in. We are recruiting for 2 resident laypersons, 1 resident paid practitioner, and 2 non-resident paid practitioners. We open the recruitment nice and early, so we are hoping to get more applications. We will be accepting those applications through October 25th, and then presenting them to you for your consideration, likely in November. Next slide, please. Also a reminder, the annual docketing process is open for the public to submit requests for consideration for the annual docket. This is for both development code and comprehensive plan amendments. We'll be accepting those requests until October 1st. We are running notices and communications across multiple platforms, including the Mercer Island Reporter, our Mercer Island Weekly, our Permit Bulletin, and social media. The Planning Commission takes the first pass at the docket proposals. They'll be reviewing them October 23rd. And Council, we are hoping this year to get those docket requests to you 1 meeting earlier than in the past, so we're currently aiming for November 19th. Anyone interested in submitting a docket proposal, we have information on our Let's Talk page, and the link is at the bottom of the slide. All right, a quick update. We have a lot of construction happening right now, so we wanted to just share a brief update. If you've been in Town Center, you know we are working on numerous ADA sidewalk ramp replacements at 4 different intersections. And the way it's working is we're moving from corner to corner so that there's always a safe route for walking and biking. So that work should be completed in late October. We thank everyone for their patience. We are also working on the 80th Avenue sidewalk improvements, and we'll have a lot more photos on that project soon. That work, as a reminder, includes new sidewalks. Most of the sidewalks were heavily buckled from tree roots, new street lighting, and the replacement of the street trees. Sound transit contractors are also doing work in the Town Center on new traffic signals at Southeast 27th and 80th and North Mercer Way and 76th. We've been pushing out a lot of communication so everybody's aware. All of these projects, will be continuing. The intersection work, the ADA ramps, as I mentioned, will be done hopefully in the late October. 80th and the signal projects will likely run into the winter months, and I believe may be done close to the end of the year, early part of next year. All right. Pickleball courts, and we received some photos today from Councilmember Jacobson, who went to visit the site. Thank you, Jake. We've also added some photos here. Just wanted to give you a status update since the last council meeting. We've removed all that old asphalt, that problematic asphalt. The excavation of the subgrade soils that were also in poor condition is now complete. They've been working east to west. The excavation depth to reach those strong soils was decreasing as we went, which means we had to remove less material than we originally anticipated. Council, I can't tell you exactly how much that will translate to into savings, but that is a small bit of good news on this project. We finished compacting about 80% of that new crushed rock base, and we will be headed to paving, hopefully next week, weather dependent. We anticipate reopening those courts for play sometime around the end of October. And just a reminder, there's a second phase that will happen in the spring. That final coating will go down on those courts next year, but there will be an opportunity to play through the winter. Next slide. Also, if you've been up to Aubrey Davis Park, we have a construction project almost concluding. The trail is now open. All of the concrete surfacing is complete. The trail markings are in. Actually, it looks really nice. I walked through there Monday morning. We're still working on the landscaping, some irrigation, lighting, signage, and a few other minor things. So take a walk up through Aubrey Davis Park. We're happy to see that safety project almost done. All right. Just, council, a couple reminders. We have a couple events this weekend, actually. Sister City is inviting you to their event on September 22nd from 5 to 8 p.m. at Allister. I believe Deb Estrada sent you all an invite. If you need assistance with any of that, please reach out to Casey, Andrea, or Deb for assistance. And there was an event. There we go. The Mid-Autumn Festival is the same day, September 22nd, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. here at the Community Center. Free entry. This is a great partnership program with the city. Lots of things going on. Lanterns, delicious mooncakes, I'm told, incredible performances, fun games, and activities for the entire family. So I hope you'll pop into one of those events this Sunday. Next slide, please. And I just wanted to conclude this presentation by saying thank you to our amazing volunteers. We hosted 12 volunteer events in the parks over the summer. In addition to the regular public volunteer events, we partnered with local businesses, communities, and even just had a lot of one-on-one volunteers come out. We had an event called Bat Night with over 70 participants. They were out looking at bat habitats. And in the month of August, we had 107 volunteers for almost 300 hours, removing 6,000 square feet of that incredibly obnoxious, those weeds and I was gonna say incredibly obnoxious ivy and blackberry from our park. So this is just a little snapshot of amazing people that are showing up in our parks and open spaces, and certainly Pioneer Park as well. So we want to say thank you to them for their gifts of service to our community. And that is all I have this evening.
Thank you. All right, our next item of business is appearances, which is an opportunity for anyone to speak to City Council on any item except items requiring public hearing, any quasi-judicial matters, or campaign-related matters. Tonight's agenda will include in-person public appearances and remote public appearances via Zoom. Individuals wishing to address the council may do so in person or by Zoom or telephone, provided they register with the city clerk by 4 p.m. today. When it's your turn to speak, you'll be called by name. Remarks must be addressed to the council as a whole and not to individual council or staff members. Any person making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks or who becomes boisterous, threatening, or personally abusive while addressing the city council may be requested to leave the meeting. Please speak audibly. State your name and city of residence for the record. There'll be a timer on the screen. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. When time is ended, I'll thank you for your comments. Move to the next speaker. City clerk, please call the first speaker.
Our first speaker tonight is Addie Smith.
Welcome.
Don't start the timer, please. Give me one moment. apologize. Give me one moment, please. Hello, Mercer Island City Council members. All of the city council members before you today have received the email that I sent to them from Chief or former Mercer Island Police Chief Ed Holmes. They received it initially from him in a response from me in October of 2019, before I was nearly murdered in my home, in my building in November of 2019 by Jill Stamborski. They all also received my response to him in October of 2019. They've since received his email response to me in emails from me. The chief of police had the opportunity to protect my daughter and I from hate crimes, and he did not. His policemen refused to write even one police report for the hate crimes my daughter and I endured for months before the attempt on my life. If he had stopped the attacks in October of 2019, the racists committing the hate crimes wouldn't have felt empowered to try to use a gun to hurt my daughter and I. Again, I had gone to the police since June of 2019, and they refused to write even one police report. All of these council members know it. In November of 2019, after defending my life from death in another hate crime attack, the Mercer Island Police arrested me. Fast forward to 2022, when Meredith Hutchison was my attorney, she had tried to coerce me to sign an SRO, an agreement she had come to with Blakely Warbington. I am not a criminal, nor have I ever committed a crime, ever. I refused to sign their SRO. Thereafter, Meredith went before the court to request more money to represent me. Judge Gregory told her no, and that he wasn't authorized to do it. He told her that she'd have to make a request for more money to the city council. Thereafter, she didn't want to represent me and filed a motion to withdraw. Judge Gregory granted her motion to withdraw and lied on the bench, stating that he had warned me about alleged behavior. However, if you really care about the citizens of Mercer Island and the state of Washington having to pay a settlement, which they will, to me, for damages for the years of time I have lost in this hate crime, you'll want to take the time to listen to the hearings in this case. Number 9Z093006, 9Z093006, hearing date August 9, 2021, wherein he states, it is so important for you to have an attorney. Listen to all the hearings as I've instructed the public on social media to do. Listen to all of them. Judge Jeff Gregory is a liar. When he stood before you several weeks ago stating that anyone is welcome in his courtroom, there is no way for anyone to know the lies he is told sitting by one hearing. You have to come to all of them. You don't know that he has violated my rights to an attorney in one particular day. I have the right to an attorney, and he has violated that right. And for 5 years now, 5 years, I have gone without employment or even being able to start a business because they are reporting this fraudulent crime.
All right.
Our next speaker tonight is Daniel Thompson.
Good evening. My name is Daniel Thompson. I'm a resident of Mercer Island, and I'd like to speak to AB 6541 on the comprehensive plan. I appreciate the enormous amount of time the council has spent rewriting the comprehensive plan. Normally, the comprehensive plan is sound and fury signifying nothing because it's the concurrent development regulations that implement it where the political rubber meets the road. And we learned that with the community facility zone. To me, it looks like the council is going in the right direction. I felt the Planning Commission basically spooked the residents with their draft. It's hard to follow the council's amendments and ad hoc committee, and even the minutes from the last meeting are incomprehensible. But I hope this process that you're going through is going to help you with the development code docket that comes up in November and next year's development regulations. So there's an understanding of how the comp plan flows into the development regulations. I'd like to address something Ted raised during the process to reconstitute the Planning Commission, and that is a council liaison to the Planning Commission. The problems with the comprehensive plan are partly the blame of the county and the planning commission and the council. You passed a resolution in March 2021, but basically took your eye off the ball. In the past, the city opposed a liaison because they felt it was a conflict with the planning commission's role in hearing appeals, but that was removed in the 2007 RDS. It just seems to me it's going to be a lot more productive to have a council liaison at the planning commission so we don't get to this situation where the council kind of gets a little blindsided on what they think they're going to get. Finally, I'd like to talk to you about another idea that Ted came up with, and that was his idea of designating 27th through the town center as a systemic street intersection based on future likely development. And I agree with that. I was a co-counsel in the appeal to the Growth Management Hearing Board requiring the council to adopt the Transportation Concurrency Ordinance. But that's an ordinance that's really designed on a first-come, first basis and doesn't work for systemic intersections. Another one, I think, is the intersection at East Mercer Way and 36th. This is important, and I think that all the stakeholders that are either looking at future development or in the permit process right now need to be brought together so that we determine what the adequate traffic capacity at that intersection is rather than waiting until we run out of capacity. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, is there any other public comment?
There are no further speakers tonight.
All right, we move to our next item of business, which is the consent agenda. The consent agenda contains AB 6536, September 6, 2024 payroll certification, certification of claims for August 30th and September 6, 2024, City Council regular hybrid meeting minutes of September 3, 2024, AB 6534, Glen Home Water Main Easement Release, 5602 East Mercer Way, AB 6537, Peace Day on Mercer Island, Proclamation Number 346, and AB 6538, Bond Ordinance authorizing the issuance of one or more series of limited tax general obligation and refunding bonds to finance and refinance projects of the water utility, Ordinance Number 24-09, second reading. Councilors, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved?
Okay, moved by Councilmember Weinberg, seconded by Councilmember Jacobson. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mayor Neese,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum,
Aye.
Councilmember Reynolds,
Aye.
Councilmember Jacobson,
Aye.
Councilmember Andral. Aye. Councilmember Weicker. Aye. And Councilmember Weinberg.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, consent passes. And our first item of regular business is AB 6529, the AMI Data Collector Authorization. And we welcome Chief of Operations Jason Kittner and Public Works Deputy Director Elaine Summergren. Welcome, Elaine.
Good evening, Council. For the record, Elaine Summergren, one of your Deputy Public Works Directors. I'm joined tonight by Jeff Hansen, who is from HDR, who serves as a consultant to the city on the AMI project, and he will be able to assist with questions at the end of the presentation. I'm going to ask Allie to bring up the slide presentation. Wonderful. So I'm here tonight to speak with you again about the AMI system that the city is implementing right now and to request authorization for 3 additional data collector sites. Just a quick look at the presentation. I'll be going over some background on the project, speak briefly about the permitting and public outreach portions. The meat of the presentation will be about the data collectors themselves. I'll touch on project cost and then talk about what the next steps are. So just a reminder that the AMI project is aimed at upgrading the city's water meter system to an advanced metering infrastructure system. And there is a graphic here to explain the flow of information from each of the water meters through the data collector system to the city's billing software. So when this system is fully operational, as a reminder, the water meters will transmit hourly water usage data to the city on 4 to 6 hour intervals. This will reduce the need for meter reading and allow staff to focus on resolving issues with our water meters. It will also allow customers to monitor their own water use through a portal, and it will send notifications about potential leaks to the city and to customers, which will help with response times and also with water conservation. Here's a quick overview of the timeline of how we got here. I know you're all very familiar with this, but the project did begin in 2018 when the city began evaluating the best systems for Mercer Island, leading all the way up to 2024 when we have almost completed all of the meter replacements on the island and activated 2 of the data collectors. So there are really 3 components that I want to just touch on here that are part of the AMI system. The first is the meter replacement portion. There are approximately 7,900 water meters that are owned by the city. About 7,400 of those, both residential and business water meters, have been replaced this year by a contractor. That was between March and August of this year. An additional 250 plus or minus have been replaced by city staff. Right now, we are working with the contractor on some needed corrections and working with staff on some of what we would consider more tricky meters that require repiping. And then most of the remaining meters after that are going to be ones that won't actually be read by the AMI system, such as fire meters. The second component is the customer portal. As I touched on earlier, this will allow our water customers to see their hourly water use and receive notifications from the system about potential leaks. We are expecting to launch the customer portal later this year. And when we do launch that and activate that site, we will be sending out a significant amount of information to water customers about how they can sign up for it and how they can use the portal. The third component is the data collector stations, and that's really why we're here tonight. This is that last major element, which is the wireless system that allows data to be collected from individual meters and be transmitted to the city. Each station consists of 2 components, an antenna, which is mounted very high on a pole to capture signal, and then a base station, which is a box that is mounted closer to the ground that allows for some access to it. So in order to install these and activate these data collection systems, there is a permit requirement for them, and that is for a conditional use permit, otherwise known as a CUP. And what these permits do is they authorize the use of this equipment as essential public facilities. Prior to submitting these permit applications, the city is required to conduct a robust outreach effort to all of the nearby properties around the proposed sites. But ultimately, the hearing examiner is the one who determines the outcome of each of the applications. As I said, there has to be a robust public outreach portion of this, and this precedes the permit application. And this is a really significant outreach effort to all the residents, businesses, and property owners within 300 feet of each of the proposed locations, although we are even broadening out that radius a little bit to make sure we're really capturing everyone. The engagement strategy includes sending out an informational letter and a frequently asked questions flyer, hanging door tags on each property, and then activating a Let's Talk page, which includes specific information about each location, a map, a photo rendering, and specific information about the equipment at each site. Really, the purpose of this public outreach is to encourage the public to provide comments and questions to the city. They can do that via email or via the Let's Talk page. So here we get into the meat about data collectors. So I want to give just a touch on the background. I did receive a couple of questions about this. So just a reminder that in 2023, the city launched this public outreach campaign about 7 proposed locations for data collectors. During that public outreach effort, the city received significant feedback about 3 of those sites. And as a result, the city reconsidered where these data collectors would be installed, and ultimately 4 sites were removed from consideration. A new propagation study, a computer-generated study looking at the optimal locations for these data collectors, was conducted in early 2024, and I came to you in March of 2024 to talk about those updated locations. So that updated propagation study found that 6 antennas were actually required for full coverage of the island. And I want to remind you that the reason that that number went down was because the city really changed their parameters for how we were limiting where those antennas could go. So when we opened up the parameters a little bit, we actually found that we could have fewer antennas and they could be slightly lower down. So I'm going to walk through each of these locations briefly and talk about the 3 for which I'm requesting authorization to proceed this evening. The first 2 locations are the Island Crest Park and the City Reservoir locations. Both of these antennas and base stations have been installed and have been activated following a permit approval for each of them in May of this year. At this point, we are actually reliably receiving data from about 80% of the water meters on the island just using these 2 data collectors. So these are located in the center of the island and can capture a really wide range of the island. Right now, I'm just going to note that utility billing staff can access hourly data for the accounts that are captured by these 2 collectors. You need to reach out to them directly right now since the portal is not up, but that information is available. Unfortunately, there are still approximately 1,500 meters that are not within range of these data collectors, and these are on the trickier parts of the island, around the edges, and this is primarily due to topography, but also distance from the data collectors and our heavy tree canopy. So the 3rd location, which I spoke to you about in March of this year, is the Roanoke location. And at that meeting in March, I did receive direction from council to proceed with permitting for this site and have done that since. An application for a CUP was submitted in May of 2024, and we have a public hearing coming up for this site next week on September 26th. We also have a request into PSC for the replacement of a pole with a 55-foot tall pole on which to install this equipment. If the CUP is approved and the PSC application is successful, then this equipment will be installed and activated sometime in mid-2025. So next I'm going to jump into the 3 newer locations that were identified in that propagation study, which are the object of the request for authorization this evening. So the first one is near the intersection of West Mercer Way and Southeast 32nd Street. This is a location that is needed in order to capture meter data from the northwest portion of the island. This is a really heavily residential area, and so we had a desire to minimize the number of utility poles in this area. So instead of installing a new one here, we are proposing to replace one PSE pole with a 55-foot tall pole. We are requesting authorization this evening to proceed with outreach and permitting for this site. The second location is in the Crestwood neighborhood, and this is an area actually just east of the reservoir that's needed to collect meter data in the northeast section of the island. This, again, is an area that is heavily residential, and we have, again, a desire to minimize the number of utility poles in this neighborhood. Therefore, we're also proposing to replace one utility pole here with a 55-foot pole on which to mount the equipment. Again, this is one for which we're requesting authorization to proceed. The third site is at the convergence of West Mercer Way and East Mercer Way at the south end of the island. This is needed for collecting meter data from the south end of the island, which, as you know, is really tricky in terms of topography, and we have a lot of difficulty capturing data down here. We're proposing to put in a new city-owned pole in this location, and the reason is that this is along an arterial roadway in a wooded area and is not directly adjacent to any homes or structures. And so we think this would be a good fit in this area. Here we're requesting authorization again to proceed with outreach and permitting. This is just a quick summary of everything I just very quickly gave you an overview of. You can see that the three for which we are already either resolved or in process are grayed out, and the three for which we're requesting authorization are highlighted. Touching on the project cost as a reminder, the implementation of the AMI system received an appropriation of $7.4 million funded entirely by the Water Fund. And this covers not only the Ferguson and census installation and service contracts, but also staffing and permitting costs. The recommendations that I am proposing here tonight can be implemented within the existing project budget and do not require an additional appropriation. So next steps. If council authorizes staff to proceed with these three remaining sites, there really are three things that will happen next. The first is that we will launch that public outreach effort for each of these sites. Then we will apply for a conditional use permit for each site. And concurrently, we will coordinate pole replacements and installations for each site. Now, if all of that happens, we anticipate that the data collectors would likely be activated sometime in late 2025 or at the longest early 2026, given the timelines. The recommended action tonight is to authorize staff to apply for permits for the three remaining data collector stations, and if those permits are approved, to install and activate them for use with the AMI system. I would like to encourage anyone who is watching tonight, if there are questions about their water bills, if they have questions about their meters, to please reach out to our customer service team. They are always happy to answer questions and look up data. You can also visit our two Let's Talk sites, one about the meter replacement and one about the data collector stations. Other than that, I am happy to answer any questions that you have, and I will invite both Jeff and Jason to join me. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum.
Yeah, thanks, Elaine. This is a very long project. The pole at West Mercer and East Mercer down on the south end of the island, is that not a PSE pole? Or how does that?
Sorry, remind me which one?
Sorry, the West Mercer and East Mercer.
Yes.
All the other ones seem to be labeled as PSE poles. Is that not?
So this is the only one for which we're actually recommending putting in a new pole that will be city-owned, and that's for a couple of different reasons. There is a pole down there that has other utility infrastructure on it, but unfortunately, we cannot add anything to it right now because of clearances that are required between communications equipment. So therefore, we would need to do it on a different pole, and we would like to stay in this area where there really are no adjacent structures. So putting in a pole is really the best solution. In addition, it's more cost effective and can actually be implemented much sooner.
Got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Councilmember Jacobson.
First of all, thank you for your very clear and precise presentation. It's a joy to have those on things like this. The number 4, the poll to which my colleague, Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum referred, that was originally at Bonotho Place, and that relocation is on account of the feedback from the community.
Yes, it is. In addition, we also spoke at length with PSE about this location, and it was not one that was well-suited for replacement with a taller pole. So this actually really worked out to move it to a location, especially adjacent to other cell infrastructure.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Council, any other questions? Okay. Council, is there a motion to authorize staff to apply for permits for the 3 remaining data collector stations? And if permits are approved, install and activate them for use with the AMI system.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it was moved by Councilmember Weinberg, seconded by Councilmember Anderl. Any discussion? City Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Andral. Aye. Mayor Neese.
Aye.
Councilmember Jacobson.
Aye.
Councilmember Weinberg.
Aye.
Councilmember Reynolds.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum.
Aye.
And Councilmember Weicker.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Motion passes. Our next item of regular business is AB 6543, Town Center Parking Regulations Code Amendments, first reading ordinance number 24C-14. And we welcome Management Analyst Amelia Jaden. Welcome.
Thank you. Casey, could you pull up the slides, please? Awesome. Good evening, Council. My name is Amelia Chaden, Management Analyst. Casey, next slide, please. Tonight, we will walk through 2 code amendments affecting the parking regulations in Town Center, the first being the parking citation fee increase, and the second being the sunset of the Town Center commuter parking permit program. Next slide, please. As a reminder, Council, the Town Center parking plan was adopted in November 2023. Staff initiated a conversation in July of this year around parking regulations, and at that meeting, City Council directed staff to increase the parking citation fee, sunset the Town Center commuter parking permit program, and implement an on-street parking system where a motorist would receive 2 hours of free parking and have the option to extend their parking for up to 4 hours for a paid fee. Tonight, we will focus solely on the citation fee and the permit program, though I would like to note that the work on the parking registration and payment system is ongoing. Next slide, please. The current fee for parking citations is $20. $20 is the default amount set by the Administrative Office of the Courts when no fee is established by code. Staff recommends that the citation fee be increased to $54. $54 was chosen because it is the rate that is used by the City of Bellevue for their parking infractions, and this rate would not only create parity between Mercer Island and its neighboring jurisdictions, but it would increase turnover of parking spaces in Town Center, which would make parking more functionally available for users. Next slide, please. Upon adoption of the ordinance, the increase in the citation fee would become effective January 1 of next year. At this time, the Mercer Island Police Department would use an education-first approach, meaning they would issue non-fee warnings for parking violations before issuing paid citations under the discretion of the police chief. The parking citation fee would also be added to the 2025 master fee schedule. Next slide, please. For $5 a year per vehicle, the Town Center Commuter Parking Permit Program allows Mercer Island residents to park in designated spaces in Town Center on weekdays from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. The recent parking counts conducted in May of this year show that this program goes underutilized, and staff recommend sunsetting this program. Sunsetting this program will not only preserve valuable on-street parking, but it will facilitate future changes that are coming to Town Center parking regulations. Next slide, please. Upon sunsetting the program, the former permit parking spaces would become unrestricted until the City Council adopts other parking regulations. The parking regulations, which are shown, are the parking spaces which are shown on the map as the roadways highlighted in yellow and encircled with red boxes, would only be restricted by the citywide 72-hour on-street time limit. It is important to note, however, that City Council directed staff again, to implement an on-street parking system where a motorist would register their vehicle for 2 hours of free parking and have the option to extend this parking for up to 4 hours for a paid fee. Staff work on this parking system is ongoing and is anticipated to be brought to the City Council in the coming months. Next slide, please. To sunset this program, all existing permits will expire at the end of this year. Permit holders will be encouraged to use the Sound Transit Park and Ride and the future commuter parking project at the former Tully site in lieu of parking on street. At the end of the year, the Public Works right-of-way team will also remove the placards for these spaces. Next slide, please. The code amendments will have a comprehensive communication campaign to ensure that the Mercer Island community is well aware of these changes before the changes take place. And this campaign includes updates on Let's Talk, outreach to the business community in the Chamber of Commerce, social media posts, communications in the MI Weekly, and a promotion in the MI Reporter. Next slide, please. And I believe Bio is going to hop on for just a second.
Excellent.
Mr. Mayor and Council, it is the request of, start video. It is the request of the City Attorney's Office that if you have no concerns about this ordinance, that you adopt this ordinance at first reading tonight instead of having a second reading. And that's because adoption of this ordinance as soon as possible would facilitate implementation and sunset of the Town Center Parking Permit Program. Currently, the permit holders will have the ability to park until the end of this year with their valid permits. However, staff needs to prepare for and implement ways to sunset this, and the main key component would be so that no further applications for permits for next year are accepted and processed or granted for next year. So it is a recommendation of the City Attorney's Office to adopt this at first reading.
Thank you for that. All right, Council, are there any questions? Councilmember Jacobson.
My first question has to do with enforcement. How is the police department going to enforce this ordinance? What mechanisms are going to be used?
Good evening, Council, and Chris Sutter, Chief of Police. The police department currently has one police support officer that is primarily responsible for parking enforcement. We have an ALPR type system installed in her vehicle that can help assist using technology to assess how long a car has been parked in a single spot and then generate a notice of infraction or parking citation. We can utilize other police resources as needed, just mindfully that they're limited, but we will do our best to enforce the ordinance.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
For sure.
As I understand the presentation today, the people who want to park downtown will have to register the fact that they want to park in those areas where it's permissible to park. Is that correct?
Until the city council adopts other restrictions, they would not need to register. So the parking would be fully unrestricted, meaning they would only be subject to the 72-hour time limit.
Will that be changed by passage of this, either in the first reading or second reading?
Not by this ordinance.
Councilmember Jacobson, what you're referring to is what I will call the next phase of work. So we are working on the ordinance to implement registered parking and 2-hour parking throughout the town center. We brought these items to you now. These were kind of the easier, low-hanging fruit matters that could be addressed quickly. That next phase of work that you just described will be coming to, if I can squeeze it into your schedule before the end of the year, depending on how things go with the comp plan and the budget. Otherwise, right at the beginning of January.
Any other questions? Councilmember Jacobson.
Yeah, I don't really understand what the need to accelerate this by passage tonight, because it seems to me that I don't understand any of the reasons for doing that, and I know I've received some input from people who have questions about this and who want to consider it. Since the July 16th was an extended and confusing, at least to those people who are watching it, as to what was, what was discussed and decided. I don't see any reason to accelerate this, and I will vote against that.
Okay. The single comment that we got from the public on this, I reached out to that person, and we had a dialogue, and they understand this is just an incremental step to adjust the traffic infractions and sunset the parking permit plan. I don't know if there's more people that you've heard from, but this is very much a baby step towards the work that needs to continue on the town center parking.
Well, I didn't hear any difference if we pass this now or 2 weeks from now. And so the explanation made absolutely no sense to me, but maybe I'm just slow today.
No, so to recap, the city attorney's concern is that people apply annually for annual parking permits, and that process remains available as long as this ordinance is not sunset. So to assist the staff in not receiving and processing next year's permits for a plan that's sunset, they would like this passed in a single reading tonight.
Well, it seems to me that if they, in the unlikely event that they receive any requests in the next 2 weeks, they would simply hold those and deny them at the point when we do this ordinance. I mean, this does not smell right to me.
Thank you. All right, council, any other discussion? Not seeing any. Council, is there a motion to suspend City Council Rules of Procedure 6.3 requiring a second reading of the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it was moved by Councilmember Reynolds, seconded by Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum. Any discussion? All right, City Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Weicker.
Aye.
Councilmember Weinberg.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum.
Aye.
Councilmember Andral.
Aye.
Mayor Neese.
Aye.
Councilmember Jacobson.
Nay.
And Councilmember Reynolds.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, motion passes. Council, is there a motion to adopt ordinance number 24C-14 establishing the fee for parking citations and sunsetting the town center commuter parking permit program?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved by Councilmember Reynolds, seconded by Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum. Any discussion? Not seeing any. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum.
Aye.
Councilmember Weinberg.
Aye.
Councilmember Weicker.
Aye.
Mayor Neese.
Aye.
Councilmember Jacobson.
Nay.
Councilmember Reynolds.
Aye.
And Councilmember Andral. Aye. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, motion passes. Our next item of regular business is AB 6541, 2024 Comprehensive Plan Periodic Update. Receive City Council Ad Hoc Committee recommendations and complete deliberations on the proposed 2024 Comprehensive Plan amendments. And we welcome CPD Director Jeff Thomas and Senior Planner Adam Zach. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, Council. For the record, Jeff Thomas with Planning and Adam Zach, our Senior Planner, popped on and then popped off. He'll be back. I'm sure of it. Allie's going to pull up a short slide deck here that we have this afternoon for you. It's 8 or 9 slides, and I'll try and move through it as quickly as possible so the Mayor can get on with the rest of the program here for this item. As a friendly reminder to Council, it's hard to believe it's been 2 weeks. It feels like 2 days since we were here on September 3rd going through some deliberations for the City Council on the 2024 Comprehensive Plan Periodic Update. First thing I'd like to cover here just briefly is what's happened since September 3rd. Council will recall that it appointed an ad hoc committee and assigned the ad hoc committee a couple pieces of business to take a look at and come back with recommendations to the council on here this evening. The ad hoc committee was comprised of the mayor, council members Weinberg and Reynolds, as well as Jen Dean from the Chamber of Commerce joined us. The committee met on Thursday, September 5th and Friday, September 6th for a total of about 4.5 hours. And there are 2 assigned tasks to take a look at. Was one, resolving a transportation element policy, and that information is included in Exhibit 1 in your packet materials for the agenda bill. And the other item was to prepare a draft economic development element, which would The idea was that it would generally combine Mayor Nice's and Councilmember Weinberg's drafts that they had submitted back in August during the open window for amendments to the Planning Commission recommended draft of the comprehensive plan. In addition to that, our city manager took a look at the draft economic development element that came out of the ad hoc committee while the agenda bill materials were being prepared, and had a chance to do some additional review for consistency with other city plans. And that review has led to the formulation of a couple of additional exhibits, numbers 3, 4, and 5 in your packet. And we'll get into those here a little bit later. So generally speaking, that's what's been going on since September 3rd, and then we're bringing all that to you here this evening. Next slide, please. Okay, so Exhibit 1, again, is this ad hoc committee recommendation on the transportation element policy. And where the committee landed was to resolve City Council proposed amendment CC-88, again, which was assigned by the full council to the ad hoc committee. And the proposal is to add a new policy 11.4 to the transportation element, which simply states adopt the 2023 Town Center Parking Plan and its successors by reference, simply put. Okay, Exhibit 2 from your packet is the ad hoc committee recommendations on the economic development element. So it is an actual full element text. I will not attempt to read it here during this presentation. But what I will tell you is that there were 6 proposed amendments related to the economic development element that staff received from City Council in August. And this is a full accounting of what happened to those 6 submitted proposed amendments. As you can see over on the right hand, so the left hand side of the column are simply just the reference numbers and the council member that submitted them. And then over on the right hand side of this table is the ad hoc committee result. So 4 of the 6 amendments were integrated into the ad hoc committee's recommended draft of the economic development element. And we assigned it, just for ease of accounting for everything, we assigned it a new reference number of CC-179. And then 2 of the items were struck during the conversation by Councilmember Reynolds. So that is what happened to those 6 proposed amendments that the council assigned to the ad hoc committee to work through. And again, the economic development element draft is Exhibit 2 in your packet. So when we take Exhibits 1 and 2 and then combine them with Exhibits 3, 4, and 5 that were came into the packet via the city manager, we put together a 5-pack of motions in the agenda bill for your consideration tonight. What I'm going to do here in the next few slides is just quickly walk you through those. Like we did on September 3rd, you'll recall we had 6 proposed motions. The first motion is in reference to Exhibit 1 in the transportation element, and it is to accept that ad hoc committee recommendation and have staff incorporate that new policy into the 2024 City Council Draft Comprehensive Plan. Motion number 2 here is to take that new item number, CC-179, which was the recommended economic development element draft contained in Exhibit 2, and move to approve that for further City Council deliberation. And I'll explain why here in just a moment. Next slide, please. Recommended motion number 3 specifically references Exhibit 3 in your packet, and that's to move to approve the city manager recommended amendments to the economic development element related to parking and direct staff to incorporate those into the 2024 City Council Draft Comprehensive Plan. Very similar, recommended motion number 4 is to essentially do the same thing, only in relation to sustainability and environmental language. So essentially, the construct here is that motion number 2 will bring the ad hoc committee's recommended economic development element forward for further discussion and amendments. Motions 3 and 4 will make those amendments. And then next slide, motion number 5. Motion number 5 is a little bit of a catch-all motion. So we do have a little bit more economic development work in this motion, but then we also have Some other amendments to the land use element, parks and open space element, as well as the capital facilities element. And there's a few different subject areas in this motion contained in motion number 5 as well as exhibit number 5, which relate to cultural arts, emergency management, ADA, and I believe actually that might be it. What this exhibit encompasses is not only references to the economic development element, but we did have a catch that we managed to make through final review of the agenda bill and the materials, and we discovered that there were a couple subsections from the 2015 comprehensive plan specifically related to cultural arts and emergency management that did not copy forward in the Planning Commission's recommendation that was transmitted to council. So we are bringing those forward now to make sure that they are included and accounted for in this process, the periodic update, and in this process as amended for the 2024 City Council Draft Comprehensive Plan. So those are the 5 motions that are in your packet, briefly explained. And we'll go to the next slide, please. Just briefly, before I wrap up and turn things back over to the mayor, next steps. We're working towards finalizing the 2024 City Council Draft Comprehensive Plan, incorporating any and all City Council approved amendments. What will happen next is staff will be putting together then a draft that will embody all that, and that will be the beginning of a minimum 30-day public comment period in late September that will run through right up against your November 5th City Council meeting, at which time council will have the opportunity during first reading of an adopting ordinance for the 2024 comprehensive plan to consider any public comments received during that period. Legal will also be doing a full review of that draft, so any comments from legal can also be considered on November 5th at first reading. And then we are, as of now, scheduled for November 19th to do a second reading and adoption of an ordinance for the 2024 comprehensive plan. Final note I'm going to make before I turn it back over to the mayor is that it's also important to keep in mind that this comprehensive plan is the leading piece of work in kind of a number of items that are under this umbrella of this comprehensive plan effort. We are going to have some other dates this fall where CPD staff will be in front of the city council, and we do have a couple of code amendment pieces of business to complete this fall to make sure that they're lining up with the information that's in the 2024 comprehensive plan and that we are being consistent. So with that, Mayor, I believe that's the end of the slide presentation. I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, thank you. Before we get into any voting then, council, I'll look for any questions on any of that. Seemed pretty cut and dry, so we'll go to the first one. All right. Councilmember Reynolds.
This is a question for Mr. Thomas, our city manager. From what I understand, we've now got the parking plan and the Parks and Recreation open space plan have been incorporated in by reference. And I think we might have included the arts and culture plan as well. Is that correct? That's the first part of my question. Right. What is the thinking or on, should we be considering doing the same thing with the pedestrian and bicycle facilities plan? And if not, why not?
That's a good point. I think Jeff and I were just talking about doing the final sweep of any remaining plans that hadn't been adopted by reference. Jeff, I can't recall, that was on our list, and it may not be adopted by reference yet, so that may need to be added. Is that correct?
We certainly can adopt it by reference. There's no issue with that. So, yes.
Okay, well, at an appropriate time, I'd like to make a motion to do that. I'm not sure if this is the time.
Before you do that, maybe we could just ask city attorney who is going to be reviewing the council final draft between tonight and November 4th, if that is better just swept up in the legal review, or if that's something that we need a motion for.
Either way will work for the city attorney's office, whichever way is easier for the council.
Okay, so if you want to make the motion, just make sure you use that successor language that we used in the parking plan, because the PBF is going to have one.
I'm not sure I recall what the successor language is you're referring to.
I
but
think
I'll-
it just incorporates the plan.
And its
And
successors.
its successor.
Now I know what you're referring to.
That's
Councilmember
especially
Jacobson.
important
Yes,
with
I
that
couldn't
plan.
hear anything that the city attorney said, so I'd appreciate if he could get closer to his microphone or speak up or something. I'd like to hear what he has to say.
Thank you.
City Attorney, do you want to repeat your comments for the benefit of Councilmember Jacobson?
Sure. Either way will work for the city attorney's office, whether it's a motion tonight or if you'd like us to just go ahead and do it during our review. The adoption by reference, that's something that's easily handled and taken care of.
Okay, Council, any other discussion or questions before we get into the first motion? Councilmember Reynolds?
May I do that motion now?
Sure, why not?
Okay, I would like to move that we add a new transportation element policy 11.5, adopt the current pedestrian and bicycle facilities plan and its successors by reference.
Second.
Okay, moved by Councilmember Jacobson, or sorry, moved by Councilmember Reynolds, seconded by Councilmember Weinberg. Can I have a friendly amendment and just remove the 11.4 reference?
Whatever's easier, I'm happy with that.
Is that approved by you, Councilmember Weinberg?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, and then we'll wait for city clerk to capture that motion.
Was the second moved by Craig, seconded by?
Weinberg. Do you want to read the motion, just so we?
Yes, I captured add a new transportation element policy to adopt the pedestrian and bicycle plan by reference and its successors.
I think the only addition I would make is, I said the current pedestrian and bicycle facilities plan. I think you left out the word current. I'm not sure how important that is, but,
I have it written, I just must not have read it.
okay, thank you.
Okay, any discussion? City clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Andral. Aye. Councilmember Jacobson.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum.
Aye.
Mayor Neese.
Aye.
Councilmember Reynolds.
Aye.
Councilmember Weinberg.
Aye.
And Councilmember Weicker.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, motion passes. Council, is there a motion to approve the ad hoc committee recommended amendment for the item CC-88 and direct city staff to incorporate it into the 2024 City Council draft comprehensive plan as contained in Exhibit 1?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved by Councilmember Weinberg, seconded by Councilmember Jacobson. Any discussion?
Yeah.
Councilmember Anderl.
Bill has different language, has the and direct staff to incorporate is stricken through in my recommended motion. And I just picked up my packet, my paper packet yesterday, so I'm guessing it's correct.
I have been known to make a mistake or two.
The text as you read it was what I had copy pasted out of the agenda.
Okay, we are on recommended Exhibit 2. You're on motion 1, approve ad hoc committee for CC-88, move to approve and direct staff to incorporate into the 2024.
I have the revised
We're all the way
motion
up at
here.
this motion.
I'm on recommended motion number 2.
Well, it's our second motion because Councilmember Reynolds had a first motion, but it was,
Oh, I'm sorry.
motion
Okay,
one.
no,
I
I was
apologize.
I was focused on
There we go.
numeral 2. We're good.
Okay. So we have the motion on the floor. It's moved and seconded. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Jacobson.
Aye.
Councilmember Andral.
Aye.
Councilmember Weicker.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum.
Aye.
Councilmember Weinberg.
Aye.
Councilmember Reynolds.
Aye.
And Mayor Neese.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, motion passes. The next one, we won't use numbers anymore. Council, is there a motion to approve the ad hoc committee recommended amendment for item CC 179 is contained in Exhibit 2 to allow for further city council deliberation.
So moved.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum, seconded by Councilmember Jacobson. Council, any discussion, any questions? Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum.
Yeah, I just, real quick, want to thank the three colleagues who spent what I understand to be a long few sessions on this, so thank you for your time.
Thank you for that. It was a pleasant couple days. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Weinberg.
Aye.
Councilmember Reynolds.
Aye.
Councilmember Weicker.
Aye.
Councilmember Andral.
Aye.
Councilmember Jacobson.
Aye.
Mayor Neese.
Aye.
And Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. The next one, which I expect to have an amendment. Council, is there a motion to approve city manager recommended amendments to the economic development element related to parking and direct staff to incorporate into the 2024 City Council draft comprehensive plan as contained in Exhibit 3?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved by Councilmember Anderall, seconded by Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum. Councilmember Weinberg, do you want to make your amendment on this one?
Hold on a second, sorry.
I can give you the amendment if you want.
Yeah. Thank you.
Is that helpful?
Yeah. So, yeah, I move that we amend the current motion to replace policy 10.3 with the following text instead of striking it, specifically for town center locations within line of sight and easy walking distance of high-speed EV charging facilities, encourage the development of businesses that appeal to people waiting for their car to charge.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, moved by Councilmember Weinberg, seconded by Councilmember Reynolds. Would you like to speak to the motion?
Yeah, sure. While I agree with staff's observation that policy 10.3 as it's currently written significantly overlaps with the cap action TR 1.1, I don't think we should strike it altogether. Rather, I recommend that we reword it in the form of the motion to focus on the economic development impacts of the electrification of parking. And as any EV driver will tell you, the length of time that it takes to recharge, even with a fast charger, results in the EV driver having to hang out and wait. And at present, EV charging stations are typically installed where the real estate is cheapest. That means oftentimes the corners of mall parking lots, which is the furthest away from the entrance. And as a result, many EV chargers opt to stay in their cars while they charge. And this is a significant economic opportunity that's being missed. So people charging their electric vehicles frequently need to use a restroom. And if there's a restroom that is visible within easy walking distance, this accomplishes the key economic event of getting the EV driver out of their car. Once they've used the facilities, they typically still have time while they're waiting for their car to charge, so they are much more likely to patronize a local food and retail establishment, assuming, again, that it's within line of sight and within easy walking distance of that. So you can see what I'm getting at here, that devising a plan for enticing the EV driver out of their car so that we can serve their economic needs after serving their biological needs, there's an economic, that's economic development and not climate action. And that's why I believe this still belongs here in the economic development plan.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other discussion? Councilmember Reynolds.
I like this idea. As an EV driver, when I do drive, I will say that when we stop at chargers, I could probably count on one hand the number of times where we haven't stopped to spend some money while we were there in one form or another. And I think anything we can do to encourage probably retail development will encourage other people to do the same.
Okay, council, any other discussion? All right, City Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Weinberg.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum.
Aye.
Councilmember Weicker.
Nay.
Councilmember Andral.
Nay.
Mayor Neese.
Nay.
Councilmember Reynolds.
Aye.
Councilmember Jacobson.
Nay.
Motion fails 3-4.
Okay, so we're back to the main motion. Any discussion, any questions? City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Weicker,
Aye.
Councilmember Jacobson,
Aye.
Councilmember Andral,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum,
Aye.
Councilmember Weinberg,
Aye.
Mayor Neese,
Aye.
and Councilmember Reynolds.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, motion passes. The next one, council may have a motion to approve city manager recommended amendments to the economic development element related to sustainability and environment and direct staff to incorporate into the 2024 city council draft comprehensive plan as contained in Exhibit 4.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum, seconded by Councilmember Jacobson. Any discussion, any questions? City Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum,
Aye.
Councilmember Andral,
Aye.
Councilmember Reynolds,
Aye.
Councilmember Jacobson,
Aye.
Councilmember Weicker,
Aye.
Councilmember Weinberg,
Aye.
and Mayor Neese.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, motion passes. Council, final motion. Is there a motion to approve city manager recommended amendments to the economic development element, land use element, parks and open space element, and capital facilities element related to cultural arts, emergency management, and ADA, and direct staff to incorporate into the 2024 city council draft comprehensive plan as contained in Exhibit 5?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved by Councilmember Jacobson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum. Any discussion, any questions? Not seeing any. City Clerk, Councilmember Reynolds.
I would like to make one amendment if I can, or move, if you'll give me one moment. Sorry, I'm running a little bit behind here.
Yeah, go for it.
I would move to amend Goal 5 of the Economic Development Policy to replace the word establish with consider establishing.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved by Councilmember Reynolds, seconded by Councilmember Weinberg.
Councilmember Reynolds, can you repeat the last half of the motion?
I wanted to move to amend Goal 5 to replace the word establish with the word consider, or words consider establishing.
Okay. Councilmember Reynolds, for the benefit of the council, can you tell us in the AB where we would find this text that you want to amend?
That's a good question. I would need a moment to find it.
I have it here. It's Exhibit 2, page 26. It's also labeled as page 19. It's in AB 6541.
It's page 133 of the PDF, if that helps.
Okay. Goal 5. City Clerk, please, can you please read the motion?
I captured amend Goal 5 of the Economic Development Policy to replace the word establish with consider establishing. Consider establishing.
I'm sorry, I'm not finding that.
It's right here. Instead of establish, he wants consider establishing.
Oh, the line section, okay.
Mayor, just to confirm, is this in Exhibit 5?
This is, no, it's not. This is Goal 5, and he has amended the motion that deals with Exhibit 5.
Exhibit 2.
So
Exhibit 2?
Exhibit 2 was the second motion.
No, the motion on the floor is Exhibit 5.
Okay, so have I missed my window to do this?
Well, you can't amend a motion with an unrelated.
Okay, but wasn't the motion related to adopting the city manager's changes to the economic development element?
Only the ones listed in Exhibit 5.
Okay. Can I add an additional one to her list of amendments?
Mr. Mayor, what I might suggest is that we take care of Exhibit 5, and then the mayor can welcome any additional motions, and that would be the appropriate time to go back.
I'm happy to do that if that's
I think it'll
procedurally
be
appropriate.
cleaner, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, are you withdrawing the motion?
For now, yes.
Councilmember Weinberg?
No, that's
Right
fine.
in the second?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're back to the main motion, sensing there's probably not a lot of discussion. Any questions? City Clerk, please call the roll on the original motion.
Councilmember Jacobson.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum.
Aye.
Councilmember Reynolds.
Aye.
Councilmember Weicker.
Aye.
Councilmember Andral. Aye. Mayor Neese.
Aye.
And Councilmember Weinberg.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, looking for an amendment, okay, or a motion, just an original motion. Councilmember Reynolds.
Thank you. I would move to amend Goal 5 of the Economic Development section to replace the word establish with the words consider establishing.
Okay, moved by Councilmember Reynolds.
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Weinberg. Do you need that?
No, I got it
And
now.
thank you to the city clerk for putting the appropriate language on screen. So it's the first word in that goal that I'm proposing to replace.
Got it. Okay, would you want to speak to the motion?
Sure. This is a topic we discussed in our subgroup and had a healthy discussion about it, I think. And as I thought about it more after the fact, I grew firmer in my belief that while this premier wine destination is an idea worthy of exploration, it also felt a little rushed to me to establish that as a goal without having a broader community discussion about what sort of a vision we want this island and the town center to have. And so I think it's an idea worthy of exploring, but I don't want to have it a goal to just do it until we've had further discussion.
Very good. All right, any other discussion? Not seeing any. City Clerk?
Can I ask a question?
Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum.
Just for the folks, the benefit of those of us who are not in the subgroup, how is the discussion for policy 5.1, which it says explore capitalizing? Was there a discussion of that phrase versus establishing or establish? Is explore supposed to encapsulate exploring if it's a good idea?
I think I might just invite the Director Thomas to speak to the language between the policy, the goal language, and then the first policy language.
Yeah, I'm going to bring it up here so I can look at it. Bear with me for a moment, that would be appreciated. So in Exhibit 2, the Goal 5, establish Mercer Island as a premier wine destination, and then Policy 5.1 says explore capitalizing on Mercer Island's efforts, with some language after that. And Councilmember Reynolds' amendment here is to consider establishing Mercer Island as a premier wine destination, which is in Goal 5. So in terms of the policy 5.1, explore capitalizing, I think that language is fine as written. Capitalizing to me infers that there's something there already as some sort of base to work with, which is what the rest of this policy says. Mercer Island's efforts to brand and location as a premier wine destination, and then there's some strategies that are offered that could be part of that effort at that appropriate moment in time. So I don't see any issue with the amendment to Goal 5 and then the policy 5.1, the first policy that comes underneath it.
Okay. Council, any other questions, any other discussion? Not seeing any. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum.
Nope.
Councilmember Andral.
Aye.
Councilmember Weicker.
Aye.
Councilmember Weinberg.
Aye.
Mayor Neese.
Nay?
Councilmember Reynolds.
Aye.
And Councilmember Jacobson.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Passes
Okay.
5-2.
All right, motion passes. We now move to other business in the planning schedule. We welcome City Manager Jesse Bond.
Good evening again, City Council. Since that discussion went quicker than I had planned, I have a PowerPoint for you for the planning schedule. No joke. I thought it would be easier to show dates on the screen. Ali's going to open that deck for me real quick. There we go.
I thought you were joking.
No, I'm not. I'm not. This is really quick. I just wanted to acknowledge that, given the work on the comprehensive plan, we revised your 2025-26 biennial budget calendar for this fall. So here's what we're looking at. Next slide, please. Next week, we will publish your 2025-2026 preliminary budget book. We're going to hit that on Wednesday, sooner if we can, but it's looking to be Wednesday. You won't have a lot of lead time ahead of October 1st to go through that whole budget book, so I want to tell you, you don't have to. We'll be digging into that budget book more thoroughly on the 15th of October. Your October 1st meeting, we'll be going over your second quarter finance report. We'll be looking at the status of ARPA funding, and we will be looking at the capital improvement program. Then, on October 15th, we will be doing a deeper dive into your preliminary budget. Next slide, please, Ali. Not advancing, there we go. October 15th, we're anticipating your revenue forecast. This is where we'll look at your operating budget, so things like the general fund, the YFS fund, and considering budget proposals. We don't have anything on the calendar yet related to the budget on November 1st, but that meeting is there if we need it. Next slide, please. That second meeting in November is where we do a whole bunch of housekeeping work. That should actually say third quarter finance report. We do a number of resolutions and ordinances, and then we're heading towards budget adoption on December 3rd. So that was how we revised the agenda to accommodate the comprehensive planning work. Again, just a heads up, when you get your budget book, I know it can be a little overwhelming. We'll walk you through it on October 1st. The meat of that discussion will happen on October 15th, so don't panic, you'll have some time. Switching topics altogether, I want to jump now to quarter one. And next slide, please, Ali. This is how a look ahead to where we may plug in the planning session. I'll be sending you an email. Casey or I will send it tomorrow, and integrating it with a whole host of meetings related to the public safety and maintenance building. So on February 4th, that first meeting in February, we are planning a design workshop with the council that will probably be 3 hours or more in length. The mayor and deputy mayor and I talked about making that meeting your planning session and possibly starting earlier that day, like noon. So just giving you a heads up that we'll be asking you to check that date. If that date doesn't work for the council, March 4th, we will have our second big design workshop. That would be another date that we could possibly start our meeting early, do the planning session, focus on the public safety and maintenance building, and conclude that night with your council meeting. So I'll be asking you to check those two dates for me, February 4th and March 4th. Please, please, please have good scheduling karma that we can all land on one of those dates. The rest of quarter one and quarter two roughly look like community engagement, a public open house sometime in mid-March. We will be in front of you the first meeting of every month all the way through July, continuing to work on design. We'll be asking the City Council to approve the schematic design of the public safety and maintenance building by May 6th, possibly May 20th if we need a fallback date. In June, we switch gears. That's when we'll be looking at first and second reading of a bond measure ordinance. And the July dates are your backup dates for that bond measure ordinance. So I wanted to, there are two big items here, right? Budget and comp plan take us all the way through the end of this year, and then starting in the beginning of next year, we pick up another major work item that is going to really eat up a lot of council time, but it's really important work. It's also really exciting work. So that's the preview. These dates might shift a little bit, but I wanted to let you know this is all being laid out to take us all the way through July. That is my update. Sorry for the PowerPoint. I thought it would be a little easier.
Thank you for that. Council, on this topic, on election night, 11/5, we have a council meeting. Is there is there interest in moving that meeting off of that night?
Yes.
Are you interested in moving it earlier or later?
Whatever works for the good of the order here.
Are we taking earlier in the day or earlier in the calendar?
No, Monday versus Wednesday.
Monday's better.
Monday's better.
Okay. So, city manager, can we look at that and we'll circulate something ahead of the next meeting, or during our next meeting, we can kind of ratify that. Okay. Thanks for that. Any upcoming council member absences to report? No. Council member reports then. Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum, anything to report?
Yeah, first I want to thank Councilmember Weinberg, who stepped in to attend an in-person PIC meeting that I was unable to attend. The PTA council met last week. There were a bunch of questions about our budget, so I told them to stay tuned. I meant to talk about this at the last meeting, but it was late and I forgot. I just wanted to thank the staff. There were a ton, I know a lot of us were able to attend a lot of them, but there were an incredible amount of events this summer that went on that I think really enhanced the sense of community on the island. And I know that I get a small picture of the work that goes into it, but I know a lot of work goes into it, and it is much appreciated. I always think summer's, I'm not alone here, but I think the best time in our area, and I think the work that the city staff puts into it makes it that much better.
Excellent, thank you. I have nothing to report. Councilmember Weicker, anything to report?
I just want to thank Elaine and Amelia for the great presentations tonight, and Jeff for pulling everything together, and that ad hoc committee, thank you so much, you guys, for pulling that together on the 5th and 6th of September. Really appreciate that. And Jesse, February 4th, I'll be in person. March 4th, I'll be virtual, if that helps or hurts in your phone.
Okay, duly noted. Councilmember Weinberg.
Yep. Okay, so on Friday, the 6th, we had an outreach committee meeting of the King County Cities Climate Coalition. We met and heard from Sarah Fox from the Washington Department of Commerce, and we discussed the Climate Commitment Act, the uses of the Climate Commitment Act funds, including building decarbonization program and helping cities roll out the SBCC building codes, and how Commerce can help provide grants to cities like us to help with the authoring of our EV infrastructure plan, and how the Energy Department can provide grants to cities like us with the implementation of an EV infrastructure plan. And I also talked about improving the operations, maintenance, and reliability of the existing EV infrastructure, or EV charging infrastructure, and discussed how King County is applying for $100 million in IRA funds to provide rebates to King County residents for EV purchases and other climate-related expenses. Also at the PIC meeting that Councilmember Rosenbaum referred to on the 11th of last week, the Public Issues Committee of the Sound Cities Association held its monthly meeting here at the Mercer Island Community and Event Center. Topics discussed were the guide to enhancing tree protections and the creation of a new panel for citing the new crisis care centers in the region, and the annual survey tracking emergency management readiness needs among the region, a review of the PIC's operating policies, and a call for appointment nominations for the SCA's various committees. There are 5 committees which expect to have member vacancies to fill in 2025, including the PSRC Growth Management Policy Board and the PSRC Executive Board, and I've sent a complete list of those openings by email to the council. Yesterday I was in the Arts Council meeting here in this chamber, and we went through the Art in Public Places 6-year work plan. And there are 2 more meetings of the Arts Council planned in October and November. The October one, we're going to be deciding on a framework for developing public art projects and reviewing the goals for the public art interpretation and engagement. And November, we're going to be reviewing the draft of project opportunities for 2025 and 30, which would be exciting, and deciding upon the goals for the public art interpretation and engagement that we discussed in October. One last thing I wanted to mention, at my next monthly open lunch will be at noon on Saturday, October 19th at Pagliacci Pizza. As always, everyone's welcome, and it's an open agenda, news, sports, weather, humor, et cetera, even questions about city business. All I ask is that everybody shows their respects to the chef by ordering some food and beverages. Weinberg out.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Reynolds.
Just two quick things. One, just mention the Parks and Rec meeting that we just had. We did a tour of all the island parks and reinforced in my mind what an amazing place this is to live and what a wonderful park system we have. Second, to follow up on Councilmember Weinberg's comments, I currently serve as the representative to the Law Enforcement Officers and Firefighters Disabilities Board, and they asked me if I'm interested in continuing in that role, and I will, although it's kind of a tilting at windmills exercise in an ongoing effort on a lot downside of a lot of 4-to-1 votes to get some responsible financial management of that program, but I continue to try.
Thank you for trying. Councilmember Andro.
Nothing to report.
Councilmember Jacobson.
Yeah, several things. First of all, well done to my colleagues Reynolds, Weinberg, and Neese for putting the economic development plan in an excellent one, I think, together. Second item is the shelter that we designate, Sophia Way, or one of the two, has accomplished some really interesting and dramatic results in reducing homelessness, particularly among women. And I will send along something that I couldn't find when I was sending things to you all this afternoon. The next thing is utility board, and the utility board's responsibility is to recommend to the city council what the utility rates will be for the forthcoming year, and or actually for the biennium, I guess. In any event, rather than try to go through a bunch of numbers, I forwarded some summaries to each of you so that you can see what it looks like. And, you know, the prices aren't going down, and you know, long term, it's a serious, it's going to be a serious problem for some of the less well-off people to afford $200 and more bucks on a bi-monthly basis for utilities. In any event, the final thing is I wasn't able to attend the King County Garbage Committee. That has a better, longer title that I can't remember. So I have to, I'll wait till I download Alana and do that next time around. That's it.
All right, thank you for that. The time is now 6:37 p.m. The City Council will now go into executive session for approximately 60 minutes for planning or adopting the strategy or position to be taken by the City Council during the course of any collective bargaining, professional negotiations, or grievance or mediation proceedings, or reviewing proposals made in the negotiation or proceedings while in progress pursuant to RCW 42.30.1404B, and to review the performance of a public employee pursuant to RCW 42.30.1101G. As a reminder to council, please stay seated until the city staff has terminated the broadcast. Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight.